Welcome to Mary's Eclectic Interests, and I'll be making French onion soup. And all you need for that is 4 tablespoons of butter, 2 cups of thinly sliced onions, 1 tablespoon of flour, 1/2 cup of sherry cooking wine, which is this here right now, but it's in that cup, and 1 quart of beef broth. A quart is the same thing as 32 ounces, or 4 cups if you're going to do it yourself, make your own beef broth. And that's all there is to it. Now when I do the onions, I don't do the bread. This recipe does not include cheese, and it does not include bread. This is it. This is all there is. It's a very basic onion soup. And when I do the onions, I like to cut them up whereas they're not going to be real sloppy when you eat them. So we're going to saute the onions first. So I'm going to put in 4 tablespoons. Here's my 4 tablespoons of butter. You can use margarine, as I've said in others. I happen to like butter. I'm going to cut this up mainly because this butter came out of my freezer, which others know when they've watched some of my other shows. I take everything I have practically is in the freezer. I like to buy things when they're on sale, especially things that I can freeze, or canned goods or something like that that you don't have to worry about spoiling. All right, here's my onions. I didn't do really thinly sliced. I do like onions with a little bit more bulk. That's me. You can put them as tiny as you want. And I happen to like this when I'm not feeling well. Strange as it seems, I seem to be able to keep down things like chicken soup and anything with broths. And onions are actually they're very good for you. So I'm going to be, and that's the flour I just put in. That's a tablespoon of flour. So I'm going to brown the onions, and I'm going to simmer this. I haven't made this for a while. I usually make it, and I usually make double batches of everything. And again, as you've heard me say, I mix it all up, and put them in small containers and put them in the freezer. Now I'm going to turn this down because it wants me to be more on the medium. Put this down, and eventually it's going to have to go on low because it says to simmer. And what I don't like about, I don't know if I have a top for this. I don't think I do. So they want these nice and brown. And once these are brown, but you deglaze it with the wine. All right, I'm going to watch that. And I'm hoping I have a big enough pan for this. And you just want everything tender. Oh, I can see it's starting to brown very nice now. It has to do with butter. Butter, 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 butter. All right, I'm going to see if any of that is done. I don't like real soggy onions. Okay. This has a crunch to it. So they are getting pretty good here. I'm going to put it on low. So I'm heating up my beef broth. Wow, it's getting nice and brown. So you see, when it works down, there's really not that many onions. Sometimes I even put in more onions than they say because I like the onion portion of it. That's what I like. And if you don't like onions, you're not going to like onion soup. I'm turning this up a little bit. There, getting that up to medium. And this should be, okay, I can pull that up a little higher. Yeah, I can feel the heat coming from there. Now this is called deglazing. And this is the sherry. And then so it'll cook a little bit more. And look, there's really not that many onions when they start cooking down. It's going to be mostly broth and very little onions. That's why I said sometimes I'll just keep cutting if I have an extra half an onion left. If I put it in the refrigerator and don't use it in a few days, it's not any good anyway. So I want to use it. I want to use everything. And it's boiling here, so we're going to deglaze that. Wow. Okay, now I'm going to put this down a little lower because there we go. Wow, it's really, you can see the bubbles thickening in here. There. Is this going? Oh, it's warm. Okay, let's see. Let's turn, oops, wrong way. That's going off. And this is warm. There. And there we go. Very nice light supper. Crackers, cheese, and onion soup. This recipe comes from a Betty Crocker's cooking book. It's called Cooking for One. I have several books like that. Cooking for One is fun, which we all know isn't. And once in a while you do find a recipe that works out real well. This one is called ground beef pasty. The pastry consists of 3 tablespoons of shortening, 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour, and yes, for those who have watched the other shows, I went out and I have all-purpose flour, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 1 to 2 tablespoons of cold water. So that's what we have here. And we're going to cut it in. We're not going to use any kind of food processor. So we're just going to, here's our flour. I'm going to put the salt in, and I'm going to mix that up. It's going to look like this. I'll see if I can get my hands underneath. So all it is salt and flour. And then they want me to cut in the shortening. So I don't have to use butter. I don't have to use any of this other thing. Just shortening, flour, and salt. That's it. And possibly a little bit of water. So I'm going to cut that in. Oops. And personally, I'd probably not do this because I'm usually in a hurry, and I would probably just go and get something from the freezer section at my favorite grocery store and say, to heck with this mess, and do it that way. Because it's already made, and you can actually buy these. Well, I think the one I have is a lard-based one, which for vegans isn't good. But you can buy other pie crust mix or pastry mix. And that's basically kind of what it is. It's basically a pie crust that you're going to put a filling in. And I'm not even sure how this is going to make up. And what I'm just doing here is getting all that, the shortening mixed in with the flour. this is doing pretty good. I think we're going to add a little bit of water, little by little, because that's what it says. And they want you to add a teaspoon at a time. Okay, let's see what happens if I add it a teaspoon at a time. Well, this is actually a teaspoon and a half, but that's okay. I just won't fill it. Oops. And I'm using a pretty big bowl, as you can see. Normally I wouldn't use such a large bowl for such a small quantity. And of course I used the one potato I had for the last thing but I have the carrots and I have the onion. And I have hamburger, which I'm going to have to defrost, probably in the microwave, because I forgot to take some out. Oh, this is starting to bind together a little bit. Let's add a little bit more. It's getting there. And I forgot I'm going to need some flour. Oh, I have it here for when I roll that out. And I also want a little bit on my hands, so that when I do this, it's not quite going in there. Let's try a little bit more. I'm hoping this will be a little bit lighter and more flaky than that whole wheat pastry that I made. That was pretty heavy. It tasted fine, but it just didn't have that light taste to it. And the only reason I'm doing this is because when I made the other one, I discovered a packet of gravy mix and I made some gravy. And of course now I have enough for at least one more of these meat pastries. I think we're going to see if that's going to bind together. And if it does, yeah, that's going to bind together. Oh, look, it's not that big of a, oh, it's quite small. So I'm wondering, how big is this going to be? And I'm going to put this right here. I'm going to get rid of this. There. Let's see how this is going to roll out. I don't want quite that much. I'll put I always call this my little turtleneck. And there's plenty of flour on here, so I'm going to do that. I'm going to have to take my little tablecloth. The reason I like this blue tablecloth is it makes otherwise it's so much white that the cameras don't seem to care for a lot of white. I'm wondering if I should get this a little bit more water in it. I don't know, it's pretty nice and squishy. Let's see. A little bit more. And I never get a nice clean pie crust. I don't know how they do it. Of course, I normally don't make pie crusts. I just go buy them. So once I get this made, then I'll shut everything off. See if I can get some hamburger. I'll make the little cut what I need for the pies. I call them pies, but they're kind of like what they used to call them, meat pies. People used to make these and bring them to work because they were all in one thing. Of course, that was before they had microwaves. I don't think I'm going to get 2 out of this. This is probably why they say 1 dish plate, and you can probably get 1 out of here. I might be making it pretty big. This is a smaller, like a salad plate. That might work. But that's an awfully big meal for me. I don't eat anything that large. I would like to have half of that size. I would like to make it saucer size. Oops. Get flour all over that too. And I don't think I can get 2 saucers out of there. No. So we're going to make 1 big one. And then I'll show you the... Well, I can't show you the difference in sizes because guess what? I ate the other ones. I don't want those. I want a nice little knife that I can just go around. I don't maybe that's going to cut that. What I could do is make a saucer size and then that might work. That is just too big. Let's do a saucer size like I had done before. Then I'll have to re-roll out the crust. And I made these really thin. Let's see, I don't even know. Can I get it off? Oh, wonderful. Here's one. Now I'm going to see if I can get another one that exact same size. Again, I might have to put some water on here. Let's see if I can get this all bowl into a nice little ball. That doesn't want to go together, so I am going to put more water on. Now I am going to have to put some flour on here because I got it kind of, you can see it's sticking. Whoops, I don't want that much. Get that out of here. Over. All right. At first you don't succeed, you know what they say. Try, 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 try again. Usually for me it's a 3rd try. Somebody out there is going to say, you don't unroll that right. You're not rolling that right. I think I might be able to get another one. See how my edges? They're not very nice looking, are they? Okay, is that large enough yet? Can I get away with it? No. Okay, I'm going to have to get it the other direction. And we keep measuring. Almost. I don't want to have to have that little problem I had before where I had to patch everything. So what happens if I patch it now? That's much better. Look at that, it's going right in. Let's do this one over here. Get that patched in. Okay, I have a couple more places to patch. Over here. And this is working a lot nicer than the, as far as the whole wheat, because there's more elasticity, I guess you would say. There, that looks good. Okay, now I can get my second. Here we go, and that's my second one. What we have here is a 1/4 pound of ground beef, and I'm using 90% lean, mainly because I don't want all that grease in my pie. A 1/4 cup of chopped potatoes, a 1/4 cup of chopped carrots, 2 tablespoons of onion, chopped onion, and I haven't got it there, but there'll be a 1/4 teaspoon of salt and an 1/8 teaspoon of pepper and milk. So here are potatoes. Here's half the carrots. And then the onion. I'm going to put the little salt and pepper on in here. And you don't have to use as much onion as they say either. I have a tendency not to follow recipes too close. And of course the hamburger. And they want you to use raw hamburgers, so we don't have to cook anything because it's going to cook in the oven. I have some other ones where they literally have you cook all the hamburger first and then put it all together. And probably what I should do is mix this in a little bit. Oh well, put a little more salt. I'm going to have to wash off my shakers because I'm using meat. The shakers when I have meat in my hands. Okay, this is not going to flip. This is going to be a disaster. Watch this. Yep. I filled it. It's supposed to be like an inch from the edge. That didn't help, did it? I think I could have made 3 of these. Well, we're just going to give it our best shot. I'm going to put less in the other one. What do they say? Less is more? Here. That is one stuffed pasty. And I'm going to try and keep this all together. And this is all makeshift. Usually when I did it before, I had quite a bit of pastry shell, and I should have probably taken one of those frozen ones out. This is all broken. But it'll taste good anyway, right? We don't care. As long as it's edible. Here's the second one in case, and here's the carrots. I think I'm going to leave some of these carrots out because I had such a difficult time getting that shut. Here's some potatoes. Well, there's only 2 left. Here's onions. And we can worry about that later. And here's, look at all this meat I have. I'm not using all that meat. And here's some meat. I would say you need less than a 1/4 pound. And this is more like an 1/8 of a pound. Here. And it says to put it on an ungreased cookie sheet, which I do. I did put a liner on it so that I don't have to worry about Actually, let's do this instead of using my finger. There. Alright, here we go again. This is going to be another exciting adventure in putting this stuff together. And it's telling me to let it cook for an hour, and I think that's way too long, as I said, for this because I'm cutting it. And see, it just breaks. Here, let's see if I can squash it down. Yep, this one. Well, as the saying goes, it doesn't have to look good, it just has to taste good. So this one broke in several places, so guess what? I guess I don't need any slats, do I? But I'll put a couple in. So it's broken in the back and it's broken here. So I would actually use less ingredients than they say. This, I can't even imagine all of that in the larger pasty. All right, we're going to put them in the oven. Let's see if I can squash that down a little bit over here. Okay, they're heading on in. Here they are. And I'm going to take the rest of that meat. I'm going to brown it for lasagna. Let's put that in. I'll put a timer on for 30 minutes. And then when it's all done, I'll come back, turn everything on, and show you the finished product. Okay, here are our ground beef pasties. They have come out of the oven, and they are a little bit browner, and I did end up leaving them in for almost an hour. And this gravy is not from scratch, it's from a packaged gravy. And whatever, and they also have it in jars, or you can make it yourself if you happen to have a beef roast, stave it, and then turn around and make yourself some ground pasties and have real beef gravy. So that's all there is, and I hope you'll come back and watch some more of Mary's Eclectic Interests. Take care and have a nice day.